Okay, let us now speak about the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. We have here just before that we had that 4 main styles of yoga, and one of them was explained as Ashtanga Yoga, Patanjali Yoga, or Raja Yoga. So the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali is now an immense knowledge on that 8 pathway, on that Ashtanga Yoga. And it includes 4 padas, and padas are actually chapters. It is a book which is highly philosophical, and if you would read that book without an explanation behind, you get totally lost and you would not know what you're actually reading there. Even if you have repeated it 5 times, you will not understand that phrase you have read for 5 times. So there is one which I really recommend you highly, and that is the Light on the Raja of the Sutras of Patanjali from BKS Iyengar. He explains very, very clear in that book that we can understand the meaning of each phrase to find again prosperity, happiness, health for body and mind in that meaning of yoga written by Patanjali in that book. So the first chapter is called Samadhipada. And I have mentioned already in just before that Samadhi is actually that last stage of Ashtanga Yoga, which leads Atman with Paramatman to become the drop in the ocean, fusioning. And Patanjali comes up actually in the last stage of that Ashtanga Yoga, in the first chapter of the sutras, that we understand right from the beginning what is the goal of practicing yoga. And remember, it's all about body and mind and body. It's like 50-50. So if you just go on your yoga mat for asanas, the mental state to develop is missed. And then we can't even call it yoga. So you have to understand that full thing, body and mind. And that Samadhipada speaks about that contemplation, and like your mind, your soul fuses with that conscious mind to that ultimate reality. And Sadhanapada is the second chapter in the book, and that speaks about the practice. And sadhana, when you translate that Sanskrit term, is a spiritual practice. It could be any kind of a spiritual practice. And it's the practice and the effort which you have to develop to reach something higher. So without work, no goal. And that is here definitely the 8 pathway with that self-discipline, the social discipline, the breathing techniques, the asanas, then of course the mental work, which fuses you through meditation into something higher, which is then at the end that samadhi state. So this is the 8 pathway. So you can see it means much more as just asanas. There's a lot of effort behind where you need a lot of discipline for. And Patanjali and all big masters, not just in that book, even when they give interviews or if they explained to their own students what is the meaning of yoga, they say very, very clear, if you are not disciplined, you will never reach that goal. And of course, I mean, if you practice yoga as a lifestyle, then of course you have to wake up. Best is between 3 and 6 in the morning to do your first practices. Then you follow that personal discipline. Then you in society, as part of that, you need to sit again in the morning and in the evening doing your meditation practice, your pranayama practice, your asana practice, and you have to tick 24 hours in harmony with yourself and with your surroundings, with the others around you and with nature. And that is actually that 8 pathway. And if you fulfill that, then of course that samadhi is given. That was the first chapter. Also again, samadhipada, contemplation. What is the goal of yoga? Then sadhanapada is the practice and the discipline you need to you need behind to reach that. The third chapter is called Vibhuti-pada, and that speaks about properties and powers which a yogi will gain. Pretty sure you have heard about mystical stories that yogis can fly, yogi can do transcendental travels, that they can do incredible things with that spiritual powers. And that is explained in that third chapter, which we call Vibhuti-pada. So the typical ones which Patanjali explains here is the ability to become very small, very large, very light or very heavy. Maybe you have been already in a yoga class in that end relaxation, in Shavasana, when you get guided through that end relaxation and you feel your body very heavy, like a stone, like Mother Earth is giving you a hug. Or maybe you felt very light, as if you are like a piece of cotton floating like a cloud in the skies. These are already one of that supernatural powers what a yogi gains through the effort of the practice. And in this case, it's after an asana practice or pranayam or after a meditation practice that you feel that kind of things. So this would be the sign of, I have gained the first supernatural powers here. That's good. Go on with that. Practice that. The next thing what he explains is the ability to acquire and attain every wish. So that means a little in a telepathic way that if you have somebody in front of you, before he even says something, you know already what he needs. A typical example is that you met your friend or family member and you know directly just when you come the door in, there's something different as normal. And you go to him or to her and you say, do you have pain? Should I give you a small massage or do you need any help? I feel you don't feel well. And they say, yes, of course. Why do you know that? I have so much back pain, I can't even move. Do you see? That's already a telepathic way that you kept the prana, that life-spanning energy from another being to react and fulfill a wish even before it's spoken out. So that would be another example. Then we have the ability to gain supremacy and sovereignty over everything and things. There are very crazy stories about yogis which are able to control their whole body in a sense that they for minutes could stop the heartbeat. And that was really, there was in a medical conference, they said the yogis are able to this and this and this. And then they said, okay, we want a medical team to check if this is really true. And they had them really on monitors. And then the yogi in meditation came into that high state of meditation where he wanted that his heart stops beating for minutes. When he came back from that meditation, he came back to normal and everybody was very, very surprised. So that is really, really recorded. Also, that's not a joke, what I'm telling you here now. And this is, of course, the sovereignty over yourself, over your thoughts, over your body. So you have heard about yogis, they can really lift the whole weight up and they're floating in space, or they can make themselves invisible. You are not linked anymore to your ego. You have everything under control. You don't take anything personal at all, and you have the full control over everything. And that would be, of course, something where we say, okay, go on practicing. I want to reach that state. And these are actually that 4 chapters. Now, we have to understand also with that we have to see the past, the present, and the future. And specifically that Vibhuti-pada connects us to each stage of our life and also to the stages or different lives before this present life. So these kind of practices also help you to remember, that's why sovereignty, about what have you done in last lives? What have you been? How was your life? And it connects you in the really, really present with each second of that present life. That we understand also that I have no control over the past. I have to accept the past so it does not harm me anymore. And I simply accept what was the past, that I can live my present life, but I'm very aware about that I can have ideas on my horizon. But I'm not able to control the present. I don't know what happened in a minute. So it's impossible to control the past and the future, but we are aware about, as yogis, what is happening in this single second right now, because it's the only moment I have access to and I'm able to control it. So it's all about, again, to connect yourself with something higher, to develop your mindfulness and your consciousness to reach that kind of stage.